You need to manifest your reality. You need to start working in flow. You need to come into alignment. Like, shut the fuck up. The reason you're stuck isn't because you're lazy or incapable. It's because nobody's told you the truth about what it takes to scale your business. Scaling requires more than just hard work. It demands systems, emotional resilience, and a mindset shift. And here's the difference between successful entrepreneurs and the rest. In this video, I'm going to break down the 7 traits that I applied to become who I was meant to be and to scale my business. So ultimately, you think that you're an entrepreneur, but let's be honest, are you running a business or is it running you? If you're stuck below 30K a month, feeling overwhelmed and wondering why nothing's working for you, this video is for you. So by the end, you'll know exactly the 7 traits you need to embody that separate true entrepreneurs from entrepreneurs and how I stepped into the former. And this is the problem. Most people claim to be entrepreneurs, but they're stuck in this endless loop, doing everything themselves, overthinking every decision and jumping from strategy to strategy, getting overwhelmed regularly, not doing any planning, and relying on just taking action to get them through and hoping something clicks. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. But here's the real issue. It's not your strategy, it's you. So trait number 1, I am so clear every day on the things that I need to do. And every successful entrepreneur that I know is very self-aware, they're very action orientated, and they're ready to implement feedback. The best I've seen are action takers. And when I was in my first coaching program, there was over 1,000 coaches in this program, different business owners doing different things. And what I found was interesting. I thought, oh yeah, I'll just show up to every single call because that's what I always had to do as an athlete, as what I had to do with school, with college. You have to show up to the classes, right? And I just found that there were always people that were moaning in the forums, and they just weren't showing up to calls. And I was like, well, why would, like, of course you're struggling, like you're not in the energy of like what the team has. Like, can you think about this? Can you imagine, like, if the top athletes in the world, like, do they go to every single training? Yeah, they go to every single training and they do more so that they can perform the best on the pitch or wherever they're playing, right? But people who don't do this are resistant to change and overly defensive when receiving feedback. And they do this because 99% of people, it protects their ego. They're prideful. They don't want to say, "Hey, I'm struggling," and that means that it keeps them doing the same shit that they've been doing. There's this Albert Einstein quote that says, "The definition of insanity is doing the same thing every single day and getting different results." So if you're somebody that isn't taking action, isn't self-aware, isn't implementing feedback, then of course you're going to struggle. In my first business program, I hustled, 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 and then the next thing that I did was I went to this Mexico retreat, and at the Mexico retreat was all of the top performing people in that program. And all the successful entrepreneurs that I met, they were all massive action takers. And I remember when I was a kid and I was super self-aware and I knew what was going on and I knew that I was doing some things that were bigger. And you should be able to look at what you want and you should know that you need to be a high level action taker in order to get into that. And then when you're taking actions in your day, you should be knowing what are the things that I need to do every single day in order to get me to my goal, and don't do the other things. That's the first trait, is being clear on everything that I need to do, being self-aware and being action orientated. The second trait is valuing my word and following through it. I will not ever blame circumstances. Anyone who's ever been in any sort of sales situation, you can tell who the winners are and who isn't. You maybe get someone super hyped over a transformation, like they're like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And if you're a business owner, you know these types of people. They come out of the blue, they're like, yeah, I want to change my life, or yeah, I want to use your service, I'm so hyped to do it. And then as soon as it comes to actually taking accountability and actually taking responsibility to go and do that, they'll come up with every reason as why they can't commit to themselves. But have a think about this. You are in the energy of doing something or not doing something. And how the universe works, or how God works, is like, if you're not certain that that's the thing that you're going to do, you're not going to get what you want. So if you can't follow through on your words, then you're not going to get that, because any word you speak is just not going to be a manifestation of your reality. So I remember in my first ever business program, one of the guys, who's called Amar, he done like 250K in 3 months. And he was a multi-car franchise owner, and all across North Carolina. And I remember one of the things that he said on our calls, and he was like, dude, you got to spend money to make money. A lot of people love to talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk, bro. Like they're caught up in so many excuses. And you're the same. You might be hopping on calls with people and wondering why you're not at 30K a month, or you might be having conversations with people that you know are really important, and you say, I really need to follow up with them, or I really need to get in contact with them, but you're not doing it. And you know that you should be following through on doing your taxes or doing your marketing or doing your sales or doing your client delivery or whatever that is, whatever system part of that is your business. You keep telling yourself that you need to do it, but you don't do it. And that's not the trait that is going to build on being an entrepreneur. That's a entrepreneur thing to do. And here's the thing, here's how it spirals is you say you're going to do something, you don't do it, you lose self-trust, then you lose integrity, and then as the circle starts coming around, you lose self-belief, and then you're consistently doubting yourself, and then from the self-doubt, you procrastinate or you self-sabotage, and then we're just in this negative feedback loop. But if you have the mindset of like, I value my word and follow through on it, and where there's a will, there's a way, you're going to succeed. Trait number 3 is I stayed open to things I didn't know about. Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, says, embrace the unknown and embrace change. And that's where the true breakthroughs happen. And have a think about this. Like, what are your perspectives here? I see people all the time. They're burning themselves out. They're getting skin issues. They're getting illnesses. They're getting viruses. And they're clearly burning themselves out to a point where they're getting illnesses, but then they keep doing the dumb shit. They take a little break and then they keep doing the dumb shit that they were doing before. They were like hustling, and yes, be an action taker, but don't do it to a point where you're just doing all these extra tasks that you don't need to be doing, that you could have delegated if you'd followed through on your word of getting somebody to come through and help you. This is classic self-sabotage. You need to realize every person in business has struggled with what you're struggling with right now. It's not a magic case, but you need to have done the inner work to understand what are the beliefs that don't serve you, what is your biggest problem right now, what are your thoughts around those biggest problem. And people think mindset work is a one and done thing. I was listening to a Dan Kennedy podcast the other day. He's one of the godfathers of marketing. He said one of the most important jobs of the entrepreneur is to use his mind to create order, to organize information, and to separate fact from opinion or fiction. So if you don't consistently realign your thoughts, where are you going to be? Versus if you do, imagine where you would be. So here's some questions that I know will help you. And as well as this, it helped my client Taylor. She's even a manifestation coach. You think she needed help with manifesting people and changing her subconscious to the things that she needed to be doing? Some people would say no, but she dived in anyway into what we do over here at Neuroproductivity and 4x'd her business in the first 5 weeks. So have a think, where are you having resistance to something you know could change your life? Why do you have those blocks? What would life be like without those blocks? Write down these questions. And these are 3 questions I actually gave my clients that I'm going to give to you. So first question is, what are the seeds that have been planted in the last month or last few months of 2025 that show this will be the best, most expansive cash flowing year of your life? So for example, you might have been moving closer to a business hub, or you might have started tuning into my videos, and you might have started journaling more consistently. Write down these questions. These are life-changing questions. Number 2 is, if you knew you couldn't fail, what would be possible this year and how would you show up differently? For example, you might start delegating more. You might set better boundaries. You might show up differently as a leader and dress better and carry yourself better. You might sleep better. You might improve your health habits. You might come closer to God. And number 3 is, what is the biggest block or obstacle getting in the way of achieving this vision and why? For example, is it lack of uncertainty? You keep going back and forth on what it is. Is it a lack of a clear plan? Is it a lack of external guidance? You're just trying to do this all by yourself. Okay. So always, trait number 3 is always stay open to things that you don't know. And the best way to do that is to question it. Now, trait 4 is having a high stress tolerance. The benefit of a lot of you guys listen to this is you've gone through some shit and you're going to go through some shit. And that has built you up to being who you are right now. But you need to increase your stress tolerance over time, and it takes time. I couldn't have handled the 7-figure growth partnership earlier last year if I hadn't extended my stress tolerance. The person that started his coaching business 4 years ago would never have been able to handle the amount of volume, amount of inputs and outputs coming out. And here's the thing, it's meant to be tough. This journey is not meant to be easy. And I'm just keeping it real with you because nobody else will tell you this, but processing your stress is key. You have to know that stress is fear. The definition of an entrepreneur is a person who starts a business and takes on risk of its success, on the risk that you're going to get capital back from it. So, of course, it's going to be stressful. Now, lots of you have asked me questions around this. I'm going to be posting questions every single Wednesday on my Instagram story. I'm going to be tagging up, it's Wednesday today, I'm tagging up a question box for me to answer you some questions. So make sure to go and follow me on Instagram if you don't already, at I am Luke Anning. And that is going to be where I answer some questions for you every single Wednesday to keep you guys growing and keep you guys moving forwards. Okay, trait 5 is I kept fucking going, especially in the newest partnership that I was in last year. I was like, how the fuck am I going to keep things going? For context, I got offered trait 5. I kept fucking going, especially in this new business launch that I did. So for context, in the past, I've done 10, 20, 36K sales months. I've been in growth partnerships with my ex-partner. Where we did 300K a month. I took my first business partner from 5K to 25K in 5 weeks, but I hadn't done this new thing by myself. And I launched this business. I did market research. I did 50 market research calls off the bat and in order to get those 50 market research calls, I was doing sometimes 100 to 200 messages a day. And then when I launched, I was taking on people for free, even though I'd gotten results in other stuff before. I took on people for free because I wanted to refine my systems. Then I increased the price with each person. And we didn't break even until December. And that meant that I burnt through a lot of my savings. I burnt through initially a credit card. And I actually got offered a closing role for a guy on track for 2 million a year, working with some of the top people in the space. And closing is just a high ticket sales role. And that would have been an easy 20K a month for me. Easy 20K a month. And he initially gave me the offer and I sat with it, I dabbled over it and I was thinking, yeah, I could do this. It's gonna work because like I know that I'm gonna work. But then I just had this realization and I was like, hell no, bro. I'm not gonna give up on what I'm doing. I'm not gonna give up what I'm doing. And you'll have this. You'll go through your journey and there's gonna be things that seem like the grass is greener on the other side. There's gonna be things that seem like it's a better opportunity than what you're doing right now. But nothing is as good an opportunity than what is out in front of you. And if you just switch and something gets hard, you're just going to have the same problems again. So you need to push through. And that's why I've always kept fucking going, because I know that God gave me a purpose and I won't stop until I get there and more. And it works because I will make it work. So you have to have the attitude that your thing is going to work because you're going to make it work. Trait 6, I've built an ego. I can be quite aggressive. I can be quite intense. And you want to know, the most successful people I know are humble at times, but they all have an ego. They do what they need to do. Think about your most favorite athletes, like Michael Jordan's, Tom Brady's, Michael Schumacher, if you're into F1. All of them would have had an ego that they were better than everybody else around them at something. Because that's what you need to do. You need to tell yourself at times that you're better than other people. Otherwise, you're going to get somebody that either works harder, makes smarter decisions, or when times get hard, you're going to align with an identity that doesn't serve you. Whereas I have an identity that I'm just going to be better than everybody else and I'm just going to get more stuff done and I'm going to make so many mistakes that it's impossible for me to fail because I'm just going to keep improving. So you need to build a bit of an ego. And trait 7 is I got focused. And you might be saying, Luke, I have ADHD, I can't focus. But imagine what you can do if you seriously can focus. Imagine if you learn to use your energy rather than waste it on cheap dopamine distractions. Imagine if you actually went back through this video and used the journaling questions that I gave you earlier. Like, just get focused. It's not ADHD. It's the fact that you don't set up appropriate systems and appropriate boundaries for yourself. And because of that, you blame ADHD. I have ADHD diagnosed and I got better by just installing better systems for my brain. getting a regular sleep pattern, getting a regular routine in place, even though it was boring and monotonous, getting in just better systems for my mind. I got focused. And I stopped having down days where I would spiral for 2, 3 days. I got focused, follow through, and I got accountability on the end. And like, here's the thing, guys, like, I'm rooting for you here. Now, I went through all of this, and it's okay to not necessarily have all these traits right away, but I switched these traits as I went through. And it's possible to have anything that you want when you embody these 7 traits. So, with that said, I will see you in the next video. I'm rooting for you. I'm giving you the tough love that I know you need, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.